Yo, what's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to go through what Spanish words to learn before a trip. So whether you're heading to Latin America or Spain, the same applies. This video should give you a pretty good base in terms of what you need on the streets, etc. In terms of my personal story, I arrived to Mexico without knowing absolutely anything. It's a very bad idea. Wouldn't recommend it. So this should be able to give you, a pretty solid base to start with. The first thing I want to go through, guys, is the pronunciation in Spanish. It's actually pretty easy, especially if you compare it to English. However, obviously, if you don't know Spanish, you don't know the pronunciation correctly. So it's one thing that I'd probably try and learn first, because at the end of the day, you're going to be on your translator, guys, reading out things to people. And if you're doing that, you want to make sure your pronunciation is right. That way you can still talk and practice at the same time. So what I would do in this circumstance is probably hire a teacher for at least a few lessons just to get this correct in the beginning. So whether you go to Upwork or Fiverr to hire someone, you can do that. And at the end of this video, I'm going to go through a couple courses where you can do the same. Letters in general have different sounds in Spanish, guys, and there's a couple things that are pretty important to learn. For example, if there's a double L, it's a Y sound in Spanish, most countries anyway. The J is a H and the H is silent. So just going through a couple examples here, guys. If you want to say chicken, it's pollo, not polo. For juice, it's jugo, not jugo. And for brother, it's hermano, not hermano, with a H sound. It's silent. So that's just to give you guys a quick example. Obviously, the way you say these things, if you say them anything like what we say in English, you're just going to throw someone off completely. So pretty important. The next thing, guys, obviously is greetings. If you don't know already, these are the main ones. Pretty obvious. I'm sure you have probably already heard a couple of these before, but I'd get these down packed as probably the next most important thing. You can take a screenshot of it if you want, if you don't know any of these. The next thing, guys, is learning the 5 main verbs, and I would just learn them for I and you. So yo y tú in Espanol. These would be can, to have, to go, to need, to want. So once again, guys, if you want to screenshot this, you can, but just to run through the first one, for can, for I can, it's yo puedo. For you can is tú puedes. And as you can see, there's kind of like a theme here, guys, in terms of, what you see for yo, I, and tú for you. So, with the yo, it ends with an o, puedo, tengo, necesito, quiero. Obviously, voy doesn't, but there's exceptions, guys. You just got to get used to that. And the same goes for you. It's puedes, tienes, vas, necesitas, quieres. You can see how it ends with an es or an as, which is an easier way to remember if that helps. But yeah, I would say these are probably the most important, guys, to remember first. Try and get these down packed first, and just learn I and you in terms of the conjugations, because the way verbs work in Spanish compared to English is completely different. We say, like go doesn't change depending on who is going. For example, I go, you go, they go, we go. But in Spanish, the verbs change for every single person, and you need to learn that theme. But yeah, start off with these ones. They're pretty important because they're used a lot. The next thing is just important sentences that I would try and get your head around. I'm not going to go through all of them, guys. If you want to take a screenshot, go ahead. But yeah, I would say, like, on my trip to Mexico, if I had learned these, it would have definitely helped a lot. And the less you can bring out your translator, the better, guys, of course. But yeah, these are just things like going to restaurants, probably conversations with taxis, just the main things that you're going to be doing. The last thing, guys, that I would try and learn is numbers. Now, it's pretty important because obviously you're going to be going to restaurants, you're going to be getting in taxis, you might be trying to ask for a price for something, and if you don't understand numbers, then you're going to be pretty screwed. So I would definitely focus on that as the next thing. Now, I have mentioned here, unfortunately, there are some countries with a pretty high currency. For example, in Argentina, 1,000 Argentine pesos is roughly $1. So obviously dealing with bigger numbers there. But once you learn, up to 100, and then you just learn you know, what 1,000 is. It's not too bad, guys. And then obviously 1 to 10 is pretty easy to remember. You just need to remember 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. You already know 1 to 10, so it helps. It's not as hard as you think, but it is definitely something that's pretty important. It's something that I would learn. In terms of suggestions, guys, of, you know, if you want something to help you out, and what I use personally is there's a program called Baselang, which is $179 for 1 month. That's what I use to actually learn Spanish in general. But if you got a trip planned and it's a month away, a couple months away, it's actually not a bad idea just to sign up to that program for a month. I'm pretty sure they give you 7 days free, by the way. But yeah, signing up to that program for a month and just going through these main things with the teacher, getting them all learned before your trip. It'll be so much better for you if you could do that. In terms of how it works, guys, it's a Zoom call with a real teacher from Latin America, and you know, she's going to help you with your pronunciation. It's a proper call. So whatever you want to get help with, you can do, or you can just follow their basic program, which is just a PowerPoint presentation, basically. The next thing that's pretty good is Pimsleur. That's an app on your phone, and it's just listening. So you don't need to do any work. It's just listening. And, you know, finishing level 1 of that will probably put you in a pretty good spot as well before your trip. And then there's a couple free apps here, guys, that are just going to help you with basic stuff like what we went through before, like greetings, a couple simple verbs. So Duolingo is one of them. And a friend of mine used Busuu, I think it's called, and that's free as well. He recommends that highly, so probably check out that one, guys. That'll probably put you in a pretty good spot. So up to you what you want to do and how well you want your level to be before your trip, guys. But if you come into Latin America, I will say that English is not very common here. So I definitely would suggest putting in a bit of time and learning the language. And who knows, you might end up staying, or you might end up wanting to completely learn the language fully. But yeah, guys, if you have any questions, obviously just hit me up in the comments. But that's where I would start if I didn't know anything and I was heading to one of these countries. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.